Poker face.
No, really, Cynthia, when I say poker face, I mean it's 420 or 421 or something like
I'm
that. And
so
we
on to
are,
you. I already know what you do. You start it early, then you tell me the keyword, knowing I'm going to say something weird and funny, and then I do, and then you do it again at the end too. But it makes for good content. Let's be honest.
sure, because it's the
Yeah,
first thing that Steve cuts. At least I hope.
I
All
hope
right,
so.
let's do this. It is 420 and it is Friday, and that makes this the 35th episode of Elevated Intel.
Yes, it
Uh,
is.
I am I am Jodi James with Florida Cannabis Action Network, the proud president of this 28-year-old organization. And with me today is my lovely co-host, the brilliant, witty Cynthia
Ooh,
Brewer.
yeah,
Man, telling you.
like evil stepsister to the 28-year-old uh organization. I like that you say that 28-year-old. Like that's a long time.
It really is. We're old enough to drink,
Oh
but we
yeah,
know better. But we
you
know
can
better.
even rent a car.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
No, it really is kind of cool. You missed a board meeting because you were excused.
Thanks for totally telling the
Uh,
world that I totally was
well,
absent.
no,
No.
I wanted to, that's okay. I wanted to tell them that we're talking about changing our mission statement. We're
Okay.
so members, so
So
I
I'm
think
learning as the public learns. Tell me what it should be
100%.
changed
I
to.
think, well, I think it's very exciting. Our mission statement is the same one we adopted like 15 years ago.
So it needs a
So
little facelift.
it's time. Well, when we first created our mission statement, things were so much different. There was no medical marijuana program. There were no legal marijuana states. Hemp was not legal. So the entire alt beverage discussion had never been had.
Right.
You know? So there's a whole lot of things that are very different
Yeah.
in the space
I'm actually
today.
trying to
Isn't that
find out
exciting?
exactly when 28 years ago was. So that was what?
Yeah, I could have told you that one.
Oh,
1998. Yeah.
listen, I don't math.
1998.
Okay. So in 98,
1998.
what
Yeah.
else was
So it was
happening in 1998? I moved to Atlanta from Seattle. I
a
was
lovely Atlanta.
approximately 13 years old, give or take, if I want to age myself.
Too young
Um,
to enjoy the Atlanta that I knew in the 90s, but okay.
yeah, no, wasn't the same one. I was in the like
Fair.
suburgatory, but
Yes, you
I
would have
would
been.
love to hear stories. So yeah, that was a long time ago. And I know my sister was born in 96 and she just turned 30, and that's like weird to think about.
Yeah.
And
That 96, well, it's very weird for me to think about that 96 is 30 because I already had children by then. So that it's all the same. Some days I get on this show and I'm like Beauty and the Beast, and sometimes I feel like the beauty and sometimes I feel like the beast. But this
why?
I well I well because you're lovely, and sometimes I can be a little cranky.
I get cranky. That's why I wanted to keep today's show like the topics today, because if
Right.
you think about it, there hasn't been a lot of positive things to report on. So I did find I had to go dig deep to the depths of the internet, into the not so into the shady web, not the dark web, to find a good, uplifting, positive story, which is kind of like
Oh, yeah.
scary at the same time. So like so that our people, our listeners would feel that we, like motivated maybe, or not
We
like crap.
we
And
have to have victories. We have to have victories.
I
We
have a
have
new
to have
prop.
successes. You have a new prop?
Prop.
Oh, no, I love your prop.
Thank you.
Your prop makes me very happy. Honest to goodness. I actually, so welcome to Elevated Intel. Once again, we have a few folks who are watching live, and we appreciate you guys very much for watching live. Today we're going to talk about local politics, bills to watch, opiate money. Chat GPT does LSD/DMT. FL, WTF.
Mm.
Do cannabis users have bigger brains? We know the answer to that one.
Obviously, my brains are
And
used.
and not on the lighter side. Seriously, cannabis mom smothers baby. And I
He's,
know, right? It's going to be an exciting
that went
episode.
from 6 to
And
midnight, but
right.
yeah.
And don't forget that the Ohio Attorney General has sued the Big Eight, and we're going to talk a little bit about that.
So
So,
buckle in,
stay tuned.
everyone.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
You get to go first because I can't compete with all of those.
No way. Well, all of them happened, kind of most of them happened at once,
Oh, health policy 2026, the committee of
right?
all committees. So,
Uh,
why is
yeah,
health policy the committee that's got to do all of the things? And like they made the Jodi James slightly uncomfortable, but in a good way by asking questions. Because
yeah,
if those who don't know, when you go to provide testimony for lawmakers, they will, because they have to, listen to you speak. Sometimes they'll give you a few minutes, sometimes 30 seconds, depending on the time. If they don't like you, they'll cut you off and be like, whatever. Or you might have to wave in support to just save time. But when you speak, they don't tend to ask you questions and you don't get to ask them questions. But this year, tables
dun,
were
dun,
flipped
dun.
and they made Jodi come back to the podium for a few additional questions. Dot, dot, dot.
Yeah.
And you did
They
great.
Thank you. I haven't gone back and watched it yet. And I truly I usually do. It's, part of doing it professionally and doing a good job being an advocate in the community. You asked why health policy always ends up being such a cluster. Well, it's funny because a million years ago, and I'm gonna do a little bit of housekeeping here. Steve is joining his production in the background. Wait, there's Steve. All right.
Steve is back from Publix, safe and sound.
Yay! Because I really did want him to put some stuff up in the chat as we're working. So Steve, glad you made it. Steve made it. If you can get those couple photos ready to put into the chat.
But
Uh,
not yet, because
Not
we
yet.
need to preface those photos. Go on about the health policy while he catches up. Take your
Fun.
time, Steve.
So, absolutely. So, health policy, it's funny because Senator Gail Harrell sits on health policy, and now anything we do in the marijuana space, of course, is going to go through health policy. Back in the day, Gail Harrell was in charge of criminal justice subcommittee, and for years, everything we tried to do started with Gail Harrell. So it's kind of
She's
funny that
and
it
she's a difficult cat, is what I'll say. Because I'm not
she
gonna, save. I'm gonna save it for later. But I'm saying she's a difficult one. She was our only opposition to a very clean, very perfect bill. But
yeah. Yeah, well, so just to bring everybody up to speed who doesn't pay attention to this as much as we do, we had two bills up in Senate Health Policy on Thursday?
Thursday,
On Thursday. Thanks, all the days kind of rubbed together
they do. Yeah.
when we do this. So, and actually, I think it was on Wednesday. Today's Friday.
Oh, it was on Wednesday. Ah, that
Yep.
was a trick question. We had
Ding,
a
ding,
lot.
ding.
So, Tuesday
It's
had
on
a
me.
committee. Yeah, because I listened to it on the way down to South Florida, and you're right. It was on Wednesday, and it was an important day, and
A huge day.
it was
Started
at
out
three
in the
o'clock.
morning with the civil
Yeah.
penalties, and that was kind of a weird one, right?
Oh,
Um,
so yeah, yeah, definitely weird.
Shout out to Melissa from Tallahassee Normal, who actually went into the room and sat there for damn near 3 hours while they debated some really intense
They were
subject matters.
very sensitive
And
subject matter too.
100%,
Back to back
100%.
stuff. People were very intense and emotional, as they should be with that content. But yeah,
The
long
Florida
way.
Channel has archives for all of these meetings, so if you're ever wanting to see this stuff for yourself, please, that's what the Florida Channel and open government is about, is making sure that people are aware of what's going on. And, we have been focusing the last couple weeks on Rep Black and some of the stuff that he's done. Today I watched him debate a Kratom bill on the
Ah,
Florida Channel, right? And so he's really cracking the whip on Kratom and says, hey, well, if you don't pass this regulation on Kratom, we're going to come back and we're just going to ban it. So regulate it the way I say to, or we ban it. That was fun.
that's
Rep,
so meet me in the middle. That's the way democracy should be. There's no compromises. Just do as I say, or I'm just gonna take it away. Do as I say or take it away.
He is the driving an open container bill guy, right? So
Yeah.
we love to hate him for the driving an open
I
container
don't
bill.
like him because he sounds like he should be announcing a game show.
So, but that's why you have your bong, right? Because last week we talked about
Oh,
oh,
the prop. I
the
always had this in the back corner of my office, but like I
bring
guess you
your
never
bong forward.
noticed it because it's blurry a little bit. But then you saw it and you were like, why didn't you bring this forward when we were talking about red black? This is one of like seven, eight pieces I have, which
And we will not, Red Black, I assure you, we are not going to pass that through the window.
no, no.
No,
Well, this is
no.
also not a car door. This is a real window, so it'd have to go straight through. That would not be making any sense. But I was trying to ergonomically try this with my truck. It doesn't, no.
So put your hand out.
It's you have to go like this, and then you have to like hold it and like push it this, and then bong water. Like it just doesn't make sense. I'm
So,
starting to think he might have been fibbing on his story or embellishing, and maybe it was more
no,
of like a handheld
no,
thing that they were like, or a
maybe
smaller.
so. I did hear from some folks who were like, I've seen people do that too. So it must
They
be a
make these
Jacksonville
smaller.
thing. Bongs? No,
All
don't
mine
worry.
are huge. I just assumed they all came in giant. So yeah, maybe it was a smaller piece, a petite piece, and yes, there you go. He saw a petite piece pipe pass.
So our friends, the Johnsons, said we saw someone doing that. So it must be a Jacksonville thing because they're from Jacksonville too.
Oh, that's fun.
And she said, we just decided to slow down and stay out of their way. I think that's really wise. So, it has been a fabulous and interesting week the last couple of weeks. I did learn from one of the representatives, Rep Black, that 47% of traffic accidents involve someone who has cannabis in their system. Did you see that?
Did he say 47? Because I heard like 100%. Like I
No,
swear it was like some astronomical number that he threw out there
no.
that he made up out of nowhere. And it was like a crazy number. 47 is crazy too.
So I called a friend and they were like, yeah, well, I'm happy to chat with you, but I'm really pretty high. And I said, well, I am
Perfect.
absolutely 100% sober. And I understand that 53% of all accidents happen when people are sober. Ergo, I'm very concerned.
Yeah, I'm
So
worried. I'm worried.
very,
Yeah.
very good. It has been an interesting week though. And so that led to a real conversation in-house about consumption versus impairment.
Yep.
And, Florida Can does have fun in our strategic plan, but really starting to, and I'm going to pun here, really weeding out the truth about impairment versus consumption is
Yeah.
really going to be important as we move forward. And we saw health policy because we saw civil liabilities, right? Civil liabilities happening
Civil liability, or so employer immunity from civil liability, meaning an
100%.
employer does not have okay, an employer does have the right to fire you if they believe that your disclosed cannabis use is impeding your job performance or causing you to not be as good at your job with no metric, no data set, no rubric to use. It's just their feelings on whether or not, if you did disclose your cannabis use openly, thinking that you were being honest, they could use that against you, and you would have no legal recourse whatsoever.
Well, we weren't sure how this changed the existing labor laws. I mean, this is a right to work state. I'm not sure what the need for this one was. I just couldn't make myself sit through it. So I really applaud Melissa for sitting through it. And of course, Melissa's take on it was, well, if this becomes a Schedule 3, what
Yeah,
are you going
that
to do with
part was not exactly accurate, but I'm not going to argue back and forth with her. Like, I'm just saying rescheduling does not necessarily mean that it gets taken off the drug panel for a screen.
it?
That's it.
Okay.
I mean, unless you can tell me different, that hasn't been any part of the conversation. It could, it's not, yeah, I don't see it going anywhere from the panel. We have to have that as an removed altogether. But I could be wrong. I've been wrong once. So like
This could be two. We'll mark the date, but we're not sure that she's wrong yet. So What I know is that there is language that requires a federal drug-free workplace. And
Yes.
we've looked at this pretty extensively. And that drug-free workplace, there are ways to ensure that you have a drug-free workplace without violating someone's Americans for Disability protections.
Hmm.
And so, that's what we need to start juggling. This has been an interesting session, I think, because so many of us are thinking, okay, look, the federal government is moving on this. We should, at the very least, acknowledge that the federal government has said that cannabis is medicine. At the very least, right?
Right.
That's real. Say what you will, but that's happened.
Right.
CBD good. It's going to be available for everybody. Hip hip hooray! Um, so now Hector said changes
Changes
from
from mandatory to
uh,
optional under, but
Schedule 3.
but to
Not
be,
and not unless we change the drug-free workplace,
yeah,
which I think specifically talks about marijuana.
yes, there you
So,
go.
but we can come up with impairment tests. There are
We're
things that
working
I
on
think,
it. We've been working on it, and it's difficult because from a laboratory perspective, and then looking at law enforcement perspectives, which I was having a conversation about this the other night, it is it is difficult to argue with a police officer that believes that they have a way, a method of testing for someone who they have pulled over. Maybe it's a field sobriety test that they have created in-house or it's been sent out to all the different law enforcement agencies, or a breath test, or a saliva test, or a written test to determine how I am impaired by cannabis. But there is no analytical test that can be done on site during a routine or an unroutine traffic stop to tell if you are currently under the influence of cannabis or if you just have cannabis in your system, because your body loves cannabis. The
right.
endocannabinoid system's not trying to push it out. If it was cocaine, it'd be like, that's toxic. Get it out of the system. 24, 48, 72 hours. If it was heroin, toxic. I don't like that. Get it out. But cannabis, yeah, it's cool. It can stay in, store it in my fat.
I might need that
90 days.
later.
I'm just
Might
saying,
need that later.
that's why cannabis stays, is because your body wants it to be there, and we have a system that like is cool with it. But I digress. So
And that's the science of it.
yeah, no, it's in a book. It says like your body's cool with cannabis, but does not like heroin and such. So
The bills that we're seeing don't represent that. And I'm with you. I think that it's pretty much common knowledge. Again, when we started this organization in the 1990s, people didn't get it. We didn't know we had an endocannabinoid system in 1998 when
right
Florida
there at the
Cannabis.
top of the plant, a little
Right?
pokey,
Part at the
a
top.
little pokey
Uh,
part at the top. Yep.
we didn't have universities teaching endocannabinoids. We didn't
Right.
have cannabis law. It was called criminal defense,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And now you have people who are specializing in taking cannabis businesses into like publicly traded companies. That's a
Remember
thing.
the cannabis college? It was like Oaksterdam or something.
Amsterdam, there's been a few. Florida had
Yeah.
its own for a minute, but yeah, the original. And now there's a program from one of the colleges in Massachusetts or Maryland where you can get an actual degree. So yeah, pretty interesting. So it's time for change. And the people who aren't changing seems to be the 160 people that we've elected to the Florida House of Representatives.
It
And
seems
it's
like
not all of them.
it's a Republican. Well, it's always kind of been the red versus the blue, but then it kind of crosses party lines when you get into some of the other stuff. But it we only had we okay, so out of the two bills, um go what was the
And
first one?
1032, well, the first one was 920.
Okay.
So that's the Department of Health bill. And it's funny because I've had people say, oh, well, we're not worried about the Department of Health bill passing with it's not going to pass. I'm like, hello, it's the
It
funding bill
has
for the
to pass.
Department of Health. It will absolutely pass.
Yeah, it
How
must
it's
pass,
done.
just like the Department of Ag bill must pass every year. So don't think it's benign. It will be a pain in the ass if you don't pay attention to it. So what part of the Department of Health bill that day was your mission?
So there's two sections in the Department of Health bill. One of them changes the definition of low THC cannabis. So right now, and this is entirely because of Joel Stanley and the Charlotte's Web plant. Joel Stanley got down here in 2014 and he convinced Matt Gates and Katie Edwards, representatives at the time, that plants could easily be grown that had 2% THC to a ratio of 10% CBD. And there might have been one that tested like that regularly,
Maybe.
and it was Charlotte's Web.
There you go.
But he got that put into law. So that's been a really tough standard for them to grow
Hmm.
uh, a plant because they're just not bred that way, right? Uh, and there's not a lot of people who are going to be using low THC products, so it's not going to be a profit driver. It's going to be a
Yeah.
loss leader,
Not a
right?
money maker.
Not at all. But it is the only product that pregnant women can get in the state of Florida. And it's a great product for people who are new, young children who are using cannabis. It's got enough THC that you can get some of the benefits of the entourage effect and really rich in CBD.
Well,
So,
I was thinking
go
about
ahead.
this because we did roundtable this for legislative meeting on Wednesday, which is invaluable to everyone who's a member to hear the synopsis of everything that's happening in Tallahassee when they don't have time to pay attention. Um, Plain devil's advocate here. It is easy to acquire CBD. If you need a low THC product and it still does have a low THC threshold in the bill, um, and the 2% essentially allows more products to be sold as low THC and deducted from your registry as low THC and possibly enhanced with an additional CBD from a local retailer for a possible better price. Is that something that you would get on board with? That it would make it more options for people to have a low THC deduction because right now they don't have the ability to, I guess, Culta create this very unique unicorn product. But I do think that it might make it ability for people to have more options for deductions from their registry that do like the low THC because that's staying stagnant. Just hypothetically, your thoughts.
So I don't know that I want to let the MMTCs who have been given this amazing trust and this amazingly profitable space. I don't know that I want to give them. I don't know that I want to let them off the hook that
Okay.
easy, quite frankly, Cynthia. They have added a clause that says whether growing or not. So that would give them an opportunity to grow a rich CBD crop and create a ratio. So they can do that in the lab based on this language. So I think that I hear you. When Metric took over, they screwed up the registry
BioTrack.
and BioTrack. Thank you. When BioTrack took over, they've screwed up the registry and made it harder for patients to use their rate. I don't know that that should require the patient to change. I think that should require BioTrack to change,
Right. No,
right?
if BioTrack,
I,
I think that's an issue that they're seeing at the state too, is like BioTrack is definitely using figures and data as a way of deducting from the registry and legitimizing whether or not someone chooses to grow a low potency product. But I also feel like if they lower the T or the CBD threshold down to something like 2%, that more MMTCs might be able to grow it without groaning. And then because it's those genetics do exist. It's just they killed them off because they weren't profitable. And they aren't very expensive and they don't take up a lot of space because you're not going to sell a lot of products. So to me, it's like trying to find a 10 to 8, like an 8% THC to a 10% CBD, like you said, would be it was created by somebody who thought one straight Charlotte's Web would be,
I got mine
gospel. But
100%.
they can buy a Reggie strain and sell a Reggie strain as a low THC product that has a possible 2% CBD. I feel like that would be very inexpensive. It might be like one of those buy one, get one. Like, hey, if you buy a regular strain, you can get this Reggie strain for like, free. I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm eager to find out what the premise of like where it started, you know,
Well,
but
I
what's
think
the driving force behind it?
go back and watch that October rules hearing with
I was
DOH.
there. Oh no, I was there in
So,
April. Sorry.
so the October one, we kind of got into this low THC a little bit. And you're right. The MMTCs would get rid of it entirely if they could. Hector said, let's get rid of it entirely. Hector Roos is our director of strategic planning, and Hector, I appreciate him tremendously. He's libertarian, and he's like, less
He's a good
regulation
guy,
better,
but he's not
less
a
reg,
lady and he's
less
never,
regulation better. And nobody had ever told him that if he got pregnant, he
yeah.
would only be allowed to have low
If you
THC.
get pregnant, Hector, I don't worry. THC is the least of your problems because we're gonna have a lot more questions.
So the low THC part, I think that it kind of dovetailed into the second bill. I'm sorry, not the low
Second
THC,
part of the
the
DOH
pregnant
bill, yeah.
the pregnant bill. Oh, you want the second
There
part
was
of the
a
deal?
pregnant bill. Okay, yeah, I
Yeah,
want
yeah,
to
yeah.
know the second because the second part of the DOH bill was what
Or
really got you
flustered.
excited, flustered, and I don't know why, but okay, picture this, everyone.
Hector says I just
Wednesday.
can't talk about sex on TV. That's
It's okay. It's all right. I don't think we have. I would just start blushing. But Wednesday, Jodi got up. She gave her 2 cents about one section, and uh, and she also gave her 2 cents about another section that had to do with the language of proximity of dispensary locations and where they can be located for the new license holders that are coming online. These poor people that have been waiting, challenge after challenge, litigation to get their damn license. They've been paying leases on places that have already been scouted for years now. It's been years.
year.
And they have been told to get leases first before they can get a license, and they get a license and challenge. And now they're being told they have to have a certain amount of feet, not just from the regular standard school, middle school, high school, but now they added additional language and included in the definition of park, which mimicked sex offender language of park. And Jodi brought up sex offender camps, which was surprised by me because I didn't know about those either until you told me. And that definitely got our lawmakers asking questions
It did.
because they called her back to the podium.
Had me a little nervous. I don't get
I thought you
I
were going
mean,
to get spanking, but
usually I did too. I,
right.
I had expected it. But usually we don't get a lot of questions, no, as you mentioned,
Never.
no one gets questions. So it was good. Uh, I am kind of sensitive to this because it's something I've worked with a client and studied some of these sex offender rules and exclusions.
Yeah.
And when we were doing this, Hector said, well, there some of the few places this has been an ongoing discussion in South Florida. There are so very few places for sex offenders who are returning back to the community that you have homeless camps along the side of highways.
Right.
So, my concern is that if we are making this language so stringent
Hmm.
that it is going to mimic sex offender statute, then we are going to effectively exclude new
Oh,
MMTCs
it's
having any
impossible.
kind of footprint in many communities. It's
Yeah, there's no
really scary.
reason for it because you're only applying this to the new licenses that haven't even shown a footprint in the state. So it's not like they did something and this is a punishment or this is
Right.
reciprocal because of an activity. This is people that have not even had a chance to try in the market. This does not apply to the original 22 license holders. So it's almost like pre-punishment, and I guess you can only do delivery.
So it would be
I would not
fascinating.
want to be opening shops if I had so many
No,
additional, you can't be where kids like to congregate. And
and
kids,
that's one of the
they're
definitions.
everywhere.
There's a basketball hoop at the end of my street. Now, I live in a neighborhood, it would be appropriate to put,
It's a
that
weird
much traffic
flex, but
in it.
okay. Yes.
But I mean, that's the basketball hoop, and you put a basketball hoop anywhere,
Yeah, it counts.
and
Yeah, it's
kids
some
will
it's
congregate.
crazy.
It really will. So not only is it going to affect the license holders who have been in purgatory,
Oh yeah.
bless their hearts,
Oh yeah. License
for
limbo.
for nearly 3 years. License limbo, that's a good one. But
I found
if
it.
you have 15 locations and you go to sell your license, the new license holder is going to have to renew their
I'm good.
business license.
Yeah, they
So
probably won't be able to. Yeah, they're gonna, and
they would
it
not
also
be able
says
to,
local municipalities can add more stringent thresholds
oh,
for
that part.
proximity. So when you put that in, when you say, hey, we're going to be really, really strict and crazy, but also local can be crazy too, don't leave that door open because they will bust through it like the Kool-Aid man. And that's not fair. So that was a very important thing to bring up. That was a very exciting policy or sorry, committee for health policy.
Well, it started out, and this is where, God bless, I told you we were going to talk about moms and smothering.
Oh
So if
yeah,
you
how the mother babies.
So
Ugh.
the first thing that they do in this hearing before they get to the pot bills, because there's two pot bills up there, but the very first thing they do, God love them, is uh
Pledge of Allegiance.
no, they anoint the woman who misdirected
They
all of
were
the Hope
no,
Florida
they were going to
funds.
confirm her. They were going to confirm the
LaShonda
lady.
LaShonda got confirmed as like, so apparently if you fall on the sword for Governor DeSantis with Hope Florida stealing millions and millions and
10 million. Yep.
millions of dollars as the director of the Department of Children and Family Services, your next step is not prison, it is Secretary of the Department of Health.
So yeah, she had to go up there
Yeah.
and she had to go and have questions asked of her. She was going to be confirmed just like other people go in front of the Senate and out in Washington to be confirmed for a position. This is this, local edition. And she was directly tied to what was it? I guess.
The misdirection of $10
Yeah.
million in funds that were under the Department of ACA. What is that? Uh, Health Services,
Well,
Children.
there were two stories that were released today
ACA.
that legitimately speak up about DeSantis using opioid money that was assigned towards that, and he claimed he was using it because he used it for the campaign against Amendment 3, which he believed was substance
Public
abuse,
service.
and so that's why he could use that 10 million. But he didn't claim he used it, but he got caught.
So this is the next 4 million on top of
Right.
that. So LaShonda, I think was her name. Uh,
It was like
she
a
was
week ago. I
the
can't remember.
He's in charge of the Department of Health, Department of Children and Family Services. Now, the Department of Children and Family Services is where Hope, Florida
The
resides.
nonprofit
But,
resides there.
well, there is a Department of Children and Services project called Hope, Florida. And then there's a nonprofit arm that is independent, but they
Okay.
work very closely together. And Department of Children and Family Services employees implement the program for the nonprofit. So that's kind of the way this nepotism was
I was about to
created
say this is like nepotism at its
under
finest.
Governor and Casey DeSantis, the First Lady. So Department of Children and Family Services and Department of Health was responsible for getting 10 $67 million or something back
Right.
from the company who had stolen or overbilled.
Hmm.
They gave
Medicare
them back.
settlement
They
money
gave,
that was assigned to the Floridians. Yes.
correct. So they gave that back, and then that extra 10 million they sent to the Chamber of Commerce and Drug Free America. Okay,
Yep.
so we all remember that $10 million scandal. So this is the woman that Chairman Andrade just drilled last year about how Hope Florida could be partnered with the Department of Children and Family Services when they hadn't had a meeting in, and how it was that they suddenly should be getting $10 million from
I
the
want to
Department
rewatch
of Family
that
Services
because
when they had only ever raised $40,000 in totality before they were given 10 million by the
right.
state.
Be like,
Uh,
wow.
and she just pushed back. She did a Pam Bondi.
Oh, I was about to say she bonded herself because if
She
everyone
bonded
knows what we're
herself.
talking about with her being grilled this week, I mean, I thought somebody was going to cry, but I didn't think it was going to be Pammed.
No,
But
I wouldn't be Pam.
do you
It
see how
was,
my expectation of her replacement might be imminent, hypothetically? I mean, I'm saying it could happen. It has happened in the past, and it wouldn't affect rescheduling. But
we'll
she's a
see.
little firecracker. Anyways, go on.
And,
She bonded herself
she
against
bonded
Andrade
herself to
after an
Andrade.
aggressive,
And,
question
and now
answer.
she's gotten a promotion to the secretary for
How
the
about
department.
that?
Isn't that great? So she bonded herself and got a promotion. So now Senator Berman and Senator Davis are asking her, okay, you may have had nothing
I
to do
love
with this
Lori Berman, by the way,
idea. Right?
for
You
the
may have
record.
had nothing. Oops, take my hand down.
You just
You
raised
may
your
have
hand to a
had
Lori Berman. Yeah, she's the best.
whoop whoop. Uh,
She said,
so
I will
while you
not be
may
up
have
on
had
your
nothing,
confirmation.
wait, and she wasn't. While you may have had nothing to do with that $10 million, what about the $4 million that came out of the opiate trust fund?
Oh, and
This
her
is this
face.
is a new $4 million from the opiate trust fund. She
Crazy.
said, well, we are very concerned about
Mm.
drug abuse, and we have part of this $1 billion settlement from the opiates is about drug abuse. And we know that cannabis is a gateway drug, hand to God. She really said gateway
Bitch,
theory.
what? I know.
100%,
No, I listened to the whole thing, but
FLWTF.
yeah.
And she said, we need public education on this. We have high mothers high on cannabis that are rolling over and smothering their infants.
I'm sorry, but how many infants have been smothered by cannabis mothers in the state of Florida or the nation?
Well, Maria did a search, so I'm
Okay,
glad you
good.
asked because
Thank
Maria
goodness
Hurley,
that Nancy Drew's on the case.
we hello, Maria Hurley. Thank you very
Yes.
much to our immediate past president and part of our legislative team, our legislative chair. And she's giving us great advice. So she went and looked. She found one that some lady was high on a whole lot of drugs and there was cannabis and she rolled over and smothered her infant.
But that
But it
cannabis could
wasn't
have been
Florida.
like many moons ago because we don't know. So one story, was it in
There was
Florida?
there was no.
So why
I
is
didn't.
that a data set that you would bring up during your confirmation as a way of justifying stealing $4 million from Floridians?
How
Why don't
else?
you blame it on the other drugs that she was taking?
And when is the heroin one coming?
That's what I'm saying. The other
Because
drugs, like I would say
no,
she was
they
high on
really
heroin
drove
and
this
or
lady.
a
But
cocktail
seriously,
of narcotics and she rolled over on her kid and she's a bad mom, but it didn't happen here. Hypothetically, this is a bad story no matter what. I mean, it is a bad story, but what does it tie to the Florida relationship with stealing money?
got nothing. It wasn't stolen money. They needed to fight the access to cannabis because someone's going to get high and roll over on their infant when they've had a bunch of other drugs. Like that person who's going to do that isn't already getting marijuana. I just want to put that out there. But I think the gateway theory
Yeah.
had to have been, I mean, that one was the one that was just outstanding to me.
I wish
So,
there was like an audible gasp in the audience when she said that because, or like if you could insert one almost like a voiceover thing on a video, because that would be perfect timing for an audible gasp.
well, Steve, you know how to do those kind of things. And I did say, you know what, this was the one committee hearing where I remembered that it was not a good idea for me to sit where anybody could see me.
I didn't see you in that one. So maybe it was for the best, but I'm guessing the face was the place with the
Yeah, I
emotion.
couldn't have done it. Couldn't have done it, didn't want to do it. I did not realize who she was until she started talking. And then I was like, oh, I know who she
Oh,
is.
snap.
But
I didn't
luckily,
expect her to be there, but she got confirmed.
she did, of course, of course. So what does that say for the health and well-being of Floridians that the director of health, basically our health department for the state of Florida, still believes in the flippin' idea that cannabis is a gateway drug?
Well, you got to
So
sew the company line if you're going to be a company man. So if
I,
she's going to answer to the governor and she's going to justify activity, this is a very Pam Bondi like esque activity because both of them are defending their fearless leaders with conviction and
100%.
redirecting attention to false um, information. So, wow, we have
100%.
our own little mini government,
She
like what'd you say it was? It's like the tiny White House, the White House of the South or something. I don't know. It's very
Southern White House. We are the Southern White
that's
House.
an embarrassing statement now because
Well, yeah.
we're becoming too much like it. So okay, so you got through the committee, you answered their
I did.
questions
Okay.
eloquently and accurately. It looks like they want to have a dialogue. That's phenomenal.
Yep.
What else
Yeah, it
happened in
was.
Tallahassee this week?
So the second bill, and I think this is the one that I know Tammy Long from Battle Buds is watching. Thank you, Tammy. I know that Matt is with us from Grateful Veterans. And I wanted to know, Matt reminded us that Florida Gulf Coast has a cannabis program. So I mentioned Maryland. Thanks, Matt, for reminding us that Florida
Thanks,
Gulf
Matt.
Coast has one. Um, yeah, thanks, Matt.
Oh my God.
I heard that. I heard that. So anyhow, moving on. 1032 got significant changes. So a lot of people
Oh,
were,
they okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
so oh my
Briefly,
goodness.
it's all good
Katu-
changes because we don't need to be all
Halud,
um
Katatalood.
Alexis. We're gonna call her Alexis because
Oh,
I
Senator
my
Alexis
mouth
from
doesn't
South
pronounce that
Florida.
many vowels in one last name.
Good job.
Calatayud. I don't know. You know what? I don't want to be disrespectful. Her name's
Senator
Alexis.
Alexis.
And she had a bill that was going nowhere. Her companion was dead, and nobody was, but she's on health policy. And if you're on the committee, you get to be heard regardless of if your bill is good or not. So they just moved her bill around, changed and tweaked it to turn it into something that would actually pass, and it ended up being adding and addressing the veterans $15 um, discounted card language. And then I guess they decided to keep the physician certification, which is why Harold decided to vote in opposition. And she didn't really understand her bill super well, but she's the face of
No.
it. But whoever made it should have maybe done some slides for her or something.
So yeah, something. And there was that guy standing over, and unfortunately, when I
Who
got
was
up to
that?
speak, it was her aide Dan, I guess, someone from her office.
Really creepy.
It was, yeah. And when I was trying to speak, he was down there talking to Tracy Davis, and so the only reason I even got up to speak is because I wanted to help Tracy Davis understand this bill, and I think some clarification is necessary. First of all, the sponsor said that the bill was going to align the card with your doctor's visit. And so it has you going to see the doctor every 52 weeks.
Right.
So anybody who does some math realizes that that's going to be 350 days. But
Three we have
it's,
more
yeah,
than that in a year, but
you do.
I see what you're going with that. So it would
And, and it,
extend.
and people are saying that it is, and I saw this in the news, that it is going to increase the amount of cannabis that you can
No.
get. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It just expands the amount of orders your doctor can give you to coincide with those 52 weeks.
But that does not give any language to the OMMU to address their rolling limits at
100%.
all. So that's
No,
why I think everyone needs to kind of just focus on the good parts of the bill because this is going to be hashed out in the next committee stops that are coming up. It's got its
100%.
first committee, which is what we really needed for the companion veterans language. We got Valdez as a huge champion moving expeditiously through the House. We needed True Now
First
to be
off,
heard, and he wasn't going to be heard, and we know why because people don't aren't a big fan right now, and he's got enough on his plate. He's got enough. So they've turned Alexis into the new champion. They tweaked her bill
100%.
into palatable and malleable language, and now she's the bill champion.
So
So
Hector said you did get her name right.
thank you, Hector. I'm so glad because Hector knows he's been trying to teach me for
Yes.
days, and I've like finally took.
So the important part about this bill is that it also in the change. So on Monday it was a bill that gave us 2 years between
Yeah,
doctor's visits and
it gave us a bunch of stuff.
yeah, and on by the time it got heard, it was down to 1 year or 52 weeks between doctor's visits. Uh, allowed for that amount of recommendations so that you had enough orders in. Didn't give you more medicine, just give you enough orders in.
Yeah.
but it mirrored begins to mirror our language on the $15 card.
That's why I think
So
it's just they're gonna make it clean and neat in the next two committees because they want it to pass. They wouldn't have added the $15 language if they didn't want it to get straight to the finish line quickly.
and this is one of those tough bills for folks, and I see that Dr. Barry Gordon is on, and I'm going to remind folks that if cannabis were a Schedule III drug, you would, as identified by the FDA, that you would need to see your doctor every 6 months. So I just want to put that out
Put
there
it on
for all
out
the
there.
people that are talking about this. And this is why I said there was some dovetail to this pregnant lady. As our doctors will tell us, how in the world, if you don't see a patient until every
Right.
52 weeks, how do you ever know if she's pregnant?
You
So,
need to have a relationship with a doctor if this is a medical program. There's so the one thing I want us to touch on though, because as much as we will dissect bills and make them, we'll write them in crayon for you if we need to. If that's what will help you to understand this process, what we're seeing a lot of recently is one of the stories I've got, which is about it's the WTF. There's a lot of several news outlets continue to misinform the public in Florida about the legislative process and cannabis related legislation, as you know. So, like reports from Marijuana Moment and other prominent news publications have framed certain proposals, including language relating to cannabis and policy reform, as if they were finalized, as if it was finished policy, when in reality, they are still in early committee stages and have not cleared the full House and Senate process. Which I think highlights a broader issue of how legislative timelines are being communicated to the public. As we know, bills undergo significant revisions before final passage, right? Yet preliminary language like this is increasingly being reported as settled law. Okay. And it's creating unnecessary confusion and concerns with the public. It's done this in the past and prematurely putting out information as if it was the gospel. Industry stakeholders, patients, public, other lawmakers, people that aren't in the process are all being misinformed. So whether proposed legislation is viewed as beneficial or harmful, the bigger problem may be the premature reporting itself, right? Stories that jump ahead of the legislative process and risk fueling that panic before policymakers even have completed their debate. So
right.
please be mindful that just because you read that it's cleared the Senate, it's cleared the House, and no, there's so many things that have to happen. We will tell you when it's official. So I don't want you to read news unless it's our news. That's what I want to say, because I'm sick of it. I saw story after story after story about the veterans card, which I'm happy, but don't pre-celebrate. They're prematurely celebrating.
Right. Well, and it's not, we're not there yet. We have a strong reason to believe that they are going to be reconciled, and when when this bill gets to the floor of the Senate,
Oh yeah,
it may look, and docs, don't freak out, docs. It may look the same, but we're not. This is not going to happen.
it is not
Senator
official
Harrell, yeah, and
until
Senator
the
Harrell
governor
says,
signs it. And
or it
he,
becomes law without a signature.
well, yeah, I mean, he could veto, he could sign and endorse it, and then it happens. Or there's another, the last process, which would be like, it just happens because he didn't sign it. He doesn't want to put his signature on it. There's a lot of, scandalous things, but when is the governor responsible for signing all the bills from legislative session this year? When is that? July
Yeah, no,
or
it,
June?
it depends. If it is passed, uh, there are thresholds. The thresholds
Right,
change. A lot of bills go into effect July 1st, and a bill can become law without the governor signing.
right.
So, but I'm afraid we sometimes are watching bills all the way up until July.
And
So,
sometimes we watch bills and they die on the Senate or House floor in the 11th hour, and you die a little bit. But I can tell you, I have the utmost confidence in the veterans bill passing, but I don't have the utmost confidence that the language from the physicians isn't going to be argued out or
it's going to
debated
be argued
out.
out.
Yeah.
It's going
So
to
when you
100% argued out.
announce that employers get to fire people for cannabis, and cannabis users are going to be targeted for driving with open containers. Until that little John Hancock is clear and dry, I want the ink dry or no ink at all, and he just chooses not to endorse it. Like, it doesn't matter. We cannot say now that things are finalized. So I think all these news outlets needs to like settle down.
Slow their roll. But you know what? You got to have something. You got to have something naughty to
You
talk
have
about.
no other news to report?
Steve, can you put up that? Can
I've
you
got
put up
news
that
of Jodi
picture?
hitting a police officer.
Did you put up the picture? Because it was not a bad day in Tallahassee.
I heard you assaulted a police officer and he liked it.
100%. And he liked it, and so
And he
did
said,
I.
"Thank you, ma'am. Can I have another?"
And I did. I
And then
hit
you
him
realize that
3 times.
your real job should be at Hilga's House of Pain and not FL Can. And so
Oh,
you're
I'm
going
so
to
good at
start
it.
your own company.
I got a thing.
Watch out, OnlyFans. Here she comes.
Everybody needs a
Everyone's got
shtick.
everyone's got their kink. Yep.
So I don't know, Steve, were you able to put
I
the
hope this
picture up?
picture can go up.
Man, me
It
too.
is a
What do you think?
double-handed
Steve, with this?
baton to the groin. It looks like you were
So
aiming there, but maybe you went high.
it's see college day. And okay, now Doc Beasley just sent me something. So maybe it could be every 3 months. I saw Tara
Steve says
said,
it's up. So the
okay,
picture,
fabulous, excellent. And
phenomenal.
Dr. Beasley said, Schedule 3 in Florida for chronic non-malignant pain is 3 months.
Ooh,
If
so
it's
you
for
have to go to the
another
doctor every
reason,
90 days. Thank you, Dr. Beasley, for the information. That is incredibly relevant.
and Tara had said that too. She said, Tara said every 90 days. Well, thank you, Dr. Beasley, for watching.
And
Um,
Tara for the
you
information. This
do.
is great. We are like
Compliment.
up to date. We are most up to
Thank
date with
you.
the news. Thank you for the input because we need to know that stuff because guess who doesn't know that stuff?
Right, right. Our
Tallahassee. I'm
lawmakers,
pointing to
absolutely.
Tallahassee.
So Steve says the picture's up. Tallahassee Community College has a officers preparation, military police training academy.
I bet they did.
So they're standing there, and there's these two guys with the big pad that you use in the self-defense classes. But big,
Baton.
long,
I
heavy.
it looked steel, but was it
It,
wood?
it was I, no, I don't
The
know.
Valerian steel? Like,
Probably some sort of composite metal. It was
yeah,
heavy.
shout out Game of Thrones, but yeah,
And
it
yeah,
looked
right.
heavy.
And so I'm like, do you guys carry these? And they're like, no, we have it. No, this is just our practice ones. And the guy's wearing the sheriff's badge. And
And
I'm like,
you took your day out on him, didn't you?
no, I took the last 25 years on
Oh,
this.
snap.
You know how long I've been doing this and how long
You
I've
were
wanted to
waiting
get
for this day, and it synced
it.
perfectly with your calendar to be up there to like hit a cop with a baton.
In all of my career, that never happened. Now, I used to tell people when Florida Can was doing a lot of its grassroots action stuff,
Mhm.
right? There's video on YouTube of me in this Madison County Sheriff's face with my finger in his
Ooh, a
face.
full finger? Not even like
Finger in
a
his face.
oh wow.
And so I tell people, early in my career, I would tell cops where to go, and they would
Right there. Yep.
threaten me. And then I worked with law enforcement against prohibition, and that was a great job. And my job was logistics for them. So I would basically tell cops where to go, and they would pay me and thank me, and that
Oh
was
wow.
way better,
Yeah, that's a
right?
big step up to get paid. Yeah, no, that's good.
For telling cops where to go.
Monetize the shit out of it. Yeah.
Right.
Nice.
And yesterday I got to beat on them, or Wednesday I got to beat on them a little bit. I thought,
For
wow.
free.
They asked me to.
Oh, yeah, they were like, okay, so
Here, do this.
I'm
And
sorry,
the
but
one kid was hawking, like, come beat a cop.
oh, he was
Okay.
like a carnival barker?
Yes,
Like
yes.
you. Try
Folks,
your hand,
please.
like squeeze
They
the thing and
asked me
make the
to.
clown's mouth, but no, beat the crap out of a cop. So here's what I would like. If it was
Reckless.
me, I would say go grab that suit that they run in when they have the dogs go and attack you, because that's what you're gonna need. And then don't worry about giving me the baton. I'm going to use my hands.
Oh,
Okay. And
100%.
we're going to have a good time. And maybe we should go in the grassy area so you don't get head trauma.
Just in case you fall down. No,
Don't
I was
ask me
really
for a good
proud.
time. Don't go carnival barking for a good time. You're going to find it.
I just kind of
Good for you.
stared I just kind of stared at that
Did you
and
laugh hysterically the whole time? Like almost like a
100%.
cackle? I knew you
And
did.
so
I
I
could see
said
it.
to him, the only way I'm doing this, and so this is like the trainer instructor dude. And I said to him, I said, well, the only way I'm going to put my purse down,
Yeah.
because my husband bought
It's
me
a
a
Louis
really nice
Vuitton.
purse. The only reason I'm putting it
I
on
know.
is if you're taking a picture of me beating this guy.
Yeah.
So he did. He took several great pictures. It was loads and loads of fun. So you
Make
never
it your
know
profile
what.
picture.
But yeah, the people who've known me all these years will be like, huh, we always
They're
knew
gonna
it
be
was
like,
coming.
finally, we knew this was gonna happen. It was either
Knew
gonna
it
be the flower in the AR, like a piece, like a piece photo,
was
or it's gonna
I,
be baton to the groin, which was
okay.
what we ended up with.
So between and that was fun, but you got to tell me about Chat GPT
Oh, it's a great
taking.
story to finish with because it was a lot of
Are we
stuff to
finished?
absorb
Because
today.
I still have
Oh,
the
I'm
weeks
sorry.
due people. There's just so much going on.
Here's the
Some
thing.
weeks it's like we're talking about nothing but smart and safe, and there's even new news on smart and safe, but we'll get to that next
I
week.
actually intentionally did not bring up any smart and safe stories because I felt like I was told not to, maybe
It was cool.
hypothetically. So no, I had two stories left over, but one was just for information. We're not gonna get, it's not that big of a deal, but Colorado decided to start making it mandatory that laboratories sample products. So if anyone didn't know this, Colorado, the cannabis market in Colorado, they actually self-sample and send off to the laboratories. And now they're being accused, some manufacturers and growers are being accused of using hemp or THCA flower in their cannabis. And so
Oh
people are
no.
starting to get concerned. Only after that was brought up have they said, maybe we shouldn't let them self sample. I do have a laboratory in Denver. And so we are preparing for that now. We're fine, handling that as a laboratory to go out because we do that in every other market. But I just thought you guys might think it's interesting that Colorado is just now going to start having a third party sample, but whatever. Now,
Hilarious.
ChatGPT.
Tell me more.
ChatGPT on DMT. Not so much LSD because that's not of the earth, but researchers claim that
Right.
different AI, including ChatGPT, can convincingly sound like they're having a psychedelic experience. Okay. Now they're clear that this is actually just language mimicry. It's not like a false sense of consciousness, but there are some safety concerns. Okay. That researchers are finding. Highly immersive AI experiences and responses may be interpreted as the chatbot being empathetic or even authoritative and potentially amplifying distress or triggers and delusional thinking during your personal adventure and with psychedelics. So, yeah, they don't want
So
you to
wait
take
a
a
minute.
psychedelic and talk to Chat GPT at all. That's it. Don't do it.
So that's the warning.
ChatGPT is starting to become more familiar with how people talk when they are under the influence of a psychedelic, including psilocybin, DMT, uh, but not so much LSD. It's just, how I am with acronyms and like play on words. But with like psychedelics and DMT, they said that in the event that these people are talking to Chat GPT as it learns more about their speech when they are under the influence, they have started to mimic that speech, they being the chatbot, the AI, the Chat GPT. And so they are claiming that it's getting very convincing that a chatbot can sound like they are having a psychedelic experience. Yeah. And they're
I find
concerned.
all I find the relationship that people have with Chat
Yes.
GPT to be fascinating.
Some people talk
My
just like a conversation.
Yeah, and I'm just never that bored. And I always have intelligent conversation around me, so I guess I don't need to go to the internet. I hang out with people like you and the members of Florida Cannabis Action
We hang
Hour.
out, but I don't know about the intelligent conversation part,
Our
but I'll
people
take
are
it.
just extra. So I do use it, I say, is what is this strain
The
over
last
here?
thing I'm gonna do if I'm on
I say,
a
is
psychedelic
blueberry
mushroom.
truffle. I say, is blueberry truffle an indica or sativa? And it won't tell me anymore.
Oh, okay.
It's
Well,
like,
I asked her to help me draft something appropriate for the day I spoke about losing my dog. And I said, can you help me draft a statement about losing my dog and, that's not too emotional? And at the end of it, she said, here's your three options. I just want to say, human to human, I'm really glad that you asked me to help you with this. You did what you could. You you did the compassionate thing. And I was like, wait, hold up. Human to human,
human
you're
to
you're
human.
not a people. You're not a people. I'm a people. You're not a people.
That's
And this
really
is not.
scary.
And she goes, I'm really glad you asked me to help you with it. It's she. Now Jeff DeMond says his is a she too, and has asked her questions about what rank she would be in the military. You know what? To each their own. My
You-
AI, my chat GPT is really jacked up because I ask her weird questions and I got to clear her memory because she's retaining too much. But the last thing I'm going to do if I'm taking psychedelics or taking mushrooms and tripping balls is going onto chat GPT and asking questions about life. Because if you go looking for the devil, eventually you're going to find it. So don't take psychedelics and go on to chat GPT is the moral of the story. I hope we all learned something. The more you know.
There you go. Before we let people log out, I do want to let you know that there is a story that broke this week.
Uh-oh.
Ohio Governor Mike DeWine and the Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost filed a lawsuit. They are suing 8 of the major, and this one might have been the wrong story. I'm sorry, it didn't come up. The right story didn't come up. They are suing, let's see, 8 of the MMTCs
Mm-hmm.
for collusion.
For what?
For collusion, they have an inside whistleblower who said he or she attended high-level meetings of some of the 8 MSOs
The
where they
top eight?
colluded. Well, I apologize.
It's
I
okay.
know
No, no, no. This is good.
we'll
So,
get
I
this
mean, it
story
could be
up.
any of them, any
Well,
MSOs. They're all like,
yeah,
okay,
I know that GTI was listed. I know that Truly was listed. I know Cresco and Verano were listed.
those are the top
And
eight. Yeah.
there was a couple that I did not recognize their name, and I do apologize. I must have put it in the wrong antitrust. I must have put it in the wrong
So
chat.
the
So we'll get
whistleblower
this
is
in
protected,
chat.
right?
Yeah, should be protected. And like I said, I don't know if the whistleblower is a he or she, but they attended a high-level meeting where these companies colluded to put each other's products more prominently on the shelf than local Ohio business people
Then smaller
and
growers, mom and pop growers.
small and local and mom and pops who are Ohio growers, because of course
Is it
there are
collusion
Ohio-based
in a
businesses.
non-vertical integrated? So for vertically integration, you
Absolutely.
have to be seed to sale, soil to oil. You have to do all of the things. So yeah, your product is number one on the shelf. But this sounds like it's a non-vertically integrated market where
Correct.
did they have collusion with the retailer too?
So
They
I
pay them
guess
off.
some of these stores are their own stores. So one of the MSOs will own a footprint of stores
Okay,
and can put any product on their
there you
shelves that
go.
they want to. They got together in advance, according to what the whistleblower has said, and the Attorney General's lawsuit alleges, and that is that they got together and made a deal to more prominently feature one another's products, which made it harder for local growers or local producers, whatever products that might be, local brands,
Yeah.
Ohio-based brands, to get a footprint in the market.
Is that
So I'm going to
illegal?
continue to follow that 100%. Microsoft got in a lot of trouble with some of the computer manufacturers a few years ago because it was the only thing that was offered on.
Why do
You know,
some restaurants have soda, Coke, and some have Pepsi? That seems like
I think
they have
that's a
them
choice. That's a
right.
choice.
So the retailer, if the retailer is owned by an MSO, wouldn't they just consider it a choice? to have
If
those
they
brands?
if they had gotten together in a meeting and made a decision to do this and swap back and forth, if it were, I am a buyer for my local business and I have looked at the 12 products out there and I decide to feature these 4 or 5, that's no big deal. If I own 25 locations and I get together with you to conspire to uh,
They
eliminate.
are buying from the smaller people, but they are intentionally uplifting or promoting the MSOs only, right? It sounds like
Well,
having preferred location means we'll get the other people in there too, because we kind of have to look diverse, but we're really going to push products from our homies.
100% from the guys who are
Got it.
also, and so that is having a negative effect on Ohio businesses.
Obviously.
And the Attorney General, I'll get this one in the chat, and we will hear more about this one. I'm going to follow this case. I think it's
Yeah, this isn't going to
fascinating.
go away.
No, and I think it's fascinating. So today, last thing, I guess, Steve, you've got one last little graphic for us because you just can't make out the ridiculous.
I checked
I
if my
thought,
name was in the Epstein files and it wasn't.
I'm sorry.
I'm okay with it. I just figured I'd share that while we were waiting for Steve to put the photo up. Do you check yourself?
Redacted? Redacted? No,
No,
I
I
have
wasn't even there at all.
I
It's
have
like they
no
didn't
clue.
even care.
And you would think with 6 million pages
You
that they
know
could
what
have.
happened is somebody told me that Grady Judd was in the Epstein files. And so I was like, BS. And I looked and he actually was. Now, granted, I will give him credit that the reason he was in there was actually just ridiculous because it was a letter that was written by someone claiming to be a victim, but it was like so many pages and a lot of conspiracy, kind of got a little crazy. So you could tell it was someone that may have been troubled, but they had to actually report it. So poor Grady Judd, I mean, I'm not going to ever say that again in my life, was actually just kind of like bad mouthed by that. So then I started looking up other people I know, like Sheriff Wayne Ivey, DeSantis, Cynthia Brewer. I was like looking up everybody I knew. And most
Had
people
I
weren't in
known,
there.
had I known you were doing that, I would have given you a different list.
I mean, I was looking at, I think I looked up everybody we know and,
Uh,
nothing of value.
so how about all those people who were on the plane with Matt Gates? Did you look up all of
No,
them?
because I can't remember their names. And this was last week. But yeah, give me
No.
a list. I'll look it up on the thing and I'll let you know what I'll report back. But I was putting in celebrities, I was putting in like famous football players. Yeah, it was very unexciting. So,
And you
but I
didn't
just
learn
thought I'd share.
anything new? You didn't find any
There's
new names of
so
somebody that
when you do
surprised you?
the search, it's like if you put in like Ron DeSantis, for instance, and I'm not saying that he went to any, no, I'm just saying if you put in a prominent person's name that had a lot of news about them, all of these FBI files in there have reports that were generated via email that had to do with top stories across the country for a
Uh,
very big span of time. So you're going to see that it says his name in there like 100 times, but it's all because a story, his name is tagged in a different story, unrelated, benign, and so that's where it gets caught up. But then you get a couple of juicy ones like, Prince Andrew or whatever, whoever. But I didn't get those. I have to find my dirt. I gotta find somebody I know because I think it'd be
so
funny.
we'll
But it
keep looking.
wasn't me.
So finally, in case you missed it, the weather was great in Elkhart County, Indiana this morning. If you were watching the local news
Oh
this morning,
gosh.
you will find, and let me make sure I've got this photo up so I give it to you right.
You gotta
You
end on a very positive, funny
I
note.
am. You will find that the temperature when you dropped off your kids this morning was going to be 20 degrees.
That's
At
cold.
lunchtime, it was going to be 38 degrees,
Slightly
and
warmer.
pickup was going to be 420.
420 degrees. Now we think hot, but I'm thinking those kids are baking, and that's a very unstable Indiana.
Well, when the
Is the
kids in
photo up?
Indiana are baking, everything's fun. So, thank you to my friend Amy who shared that with me. I sent her back and I said, tell me this is a meme and not a screenshot. Right? Because I'm
It's
not,
real.
somebody created that. And she said, that is an app actually real. And what you are seeing at the bottom of the screen is the closed caption.
Uh-huh.
where the announcer, the news announcer says,
anchor, yep.
"Oh, and that must be a typo."
That must be a type. I'm gonna assume that's a typo. I've seen that happen a few times with the weather people, and they're like 1,000 degrees. I'm gonna assume it's a typo, or a lot of people have just lost their lives. But I love the
So,
news. I love live news.
that
Um,
was a lot of fun this
Thank
morning.
you for ending on like such a funny note, because I thought it was
Keep
gonna be Jodi Baton, police officer charges, but no, that was great. Everything looks like it was a
Yeah,
good week. We're getting
and
better and better.
absolutely. And my chat GPT may be on LSD, but it's
No,
okay. She will not
don't
tell me about weed.
don't talk to her, because they're worried that she's going to tell you in an aggressive tone and you're going to take that. See, I know that's what they're thinking. Like, she's going to say something and you're going to think authority and instruction, aggression, and then you're going to have a bad trip. And
There you go.
she's going to pick up on that and retain that info and then exploit it. So, yeah, stay away from
Yeah.
Chat GPT on LSD. Thank you.
So right on. And everybody who watched today, thank you very much. We
Yes.
appreciate all of you for hanging with us
We
and
passed the
watching the show.
proverbial bong through this
We
window
did.
studio.
We did. We did. Wait, this hand, this hand.
No,
There you
I don't really know, because we don't know until the show comes out and they flip it.
So,
But
all right, we'll see.
just
We'll
know
see
that
what
we're
we can
passing you the
do.
proverbial bong through traffic right in front of Rep Black. So thank you.
In post-production, we will be passing a bong. But it's a lot of fun getting together with Cynthia every Friday and knowing that you care enough about the subject matter to tune in. That's important to us. Like, share, and comment. Tell your friends what we're doing on Fridays. Make sure you follow Florida Cannabis Action Network the rest of the time. And if you are on our email list, you find out all kinds of different things. So thank you
Ooh,
again for being, I know, right? We have some really exciting membership stuff coming up. So I hope you're all
that's where you get
members.
all the secrets.
That's right. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have
Bye.
a great week. We'll see you next.
Imagine standing shoulder to shoulder with hundreds of Floridians, business owners, and advocates inside the state capitol, ready to make real change. That's what Cannabis at the Capitol is all about. The signature Lobby Day and Education Expo from the Florida Cannabis Action Network, where voices intersect with policy and passion turns into progress. For just $50 for individuals, you'll gain access to expert briefings, self-guided meetings with lawmakers, and the power to influence Florida's cannabis future. For businesses, $300 unlocks premium access. Connect with decision makers, showcase your enterprise, and build alliances in a fast-growing sector. Whether you're a medical patient seeking stronger access, an entrepreneur navigating regulations, or a company ready to stand at the forefront of industry change, this is your platform. One day in Tallahassee could shift a lifetime of regulation. Join us. Be present. Be heard. Be the change at Cannabis at the Capitol.